Leaders are learners. This is the proper way to describe anyone who is attempting to be a leader. I have very interesting views about this because I do think leaders obviously need to learn, but I think that the people who write the books and make a living off of the books, they have a vested interest to keep this saying alive. So when I see a lot of like the leadership guru types, who when you try to talk to them about anything, they're like, oh, you suggest someone good. Well, what have they done? And there's a lot of disparaging any other leadership style or method outside of one's own orthodoxy, one's own canon, whatever you've stitched together as the ultimate way to lead. There's there's a lot of hostility to that, and but the one doctrine, the one thing that weaves through them all, is the belief that leaders are learners. I have mixed feelings about this because on one hand, yes, leaders need to learn. They are learners. It's a good thing to learn. But on the other hand, I do know people who know massive amounts of things about leadership and the theory behind it, but who cannot implement it in any practical way. So what I often suggest to people is that if you are going to be a leader, find a particular style of leadership that you enjoy, find your canon, so to speak, and if you're going to read a book, Earl Grey today, if you're going to read a book, read it, and then as you're picking up tidbits from it, actually put it into practice before you skip to the next thing. A lot of times we'll pick up a whole lot of good, useful things in a book and then go on to the next one without actually putting it into practice and learning that. So people gather a whole bunch of tools together and they've never actually tried to use them, and then they have no skill in using them. And so it's one of the biggest things to remember, the difference between a talent and a skill. And a talent is generally described as someone's aptitude for something, and a skill is how proficient they are. You only gain skill through trying over and over and over again, through doing the same thing over and over and over again. So if you want to have be a skilled leader, you need to practice with your tool set. And even if it's a subpar set of tools, if you know how to use them well and you've used them a lot, you're going to get better results than someone who knows a whole lot of different things to do but has no skill in implementation. So what I recommend doing is finding the best tips and tricks that you can. Find a book that you like. Find someone to follow. Find someone to model. And figure out what works best, and then practice that thing over and over again. Don't try to be all things in the beginning. You can't be. There's 1 in 100 billion people who can, pick up and just do everything, without any practice. You need to understand you're probably not that person, and know that hard work is the only way you're going to get from point A to point B. And you can do it. It just takes work. Plan on 16 hours a day, every day, just getting up and working as hard as you can. Work smart, but if you're not intelligent enough to work smart, just work double hard. I know it's impossible to work 32 hours a day, but, I guess metaphorically, work 32 hours a day. Hard work can overcome a multitude of sins. Remember that. If you've failed, if you made mistakes, if you're willing to get down and just work yourself to the bone, you can have success in leadership, really in anything in life. It's all in how much and how hard you're willing to work. So find tools, find a good tool, whatever it is, and become skilled at that tool. Don't just collect tools, know how to use them. You're better off knowing how to do one or two or three things in leadership really well than having a full toolkit of things to do, to use, and have no experience with them.